I've spent a good part of my adult life trying to understand people, especially when it comes to relationships, emotions, and attraction. I've read books, listened to podcasts, and gone through my fair share of confusing signals. But nothing teaches you more about human behavior than real experiences. This is the story of how I learned that when a woman is genuinely interested in you, not just casually, but emotionally and physically drawn to your presence, she won't always say it outright. Instead, she'll show it through small, almost invisible signs that only reveal themselves if you're paying attention. My name's Ethan Miller, and a few years ago, I moved to Austin, Texas, for a new job. I'd recently gone through a breakup, one that left me a little more careful and a lot more observant. My work as a marketing analyst didn't exactly give me movie-level social opportunities, but I liked people, and I liked reading them. That's when I met Natalie Parker. Natalie worked in the same building, down a few floors, in product design. She had one of those quiet energies, not loud or overly confident, but calm and centered. The kind of person who didn't need to demand attention, she just naturally had it. I first noticed her during a team mixer. She laughed easily, but it wasn't forced. When she listened, she made eye contact in a way that felt intentional, the kind that makes you aware of yourself, like she was genuinely present. That night, nothing dramatic happened. We talked briefly about coffee shops and Texas heat. But a few weeks later, I began to notice a pattern. She'd pass by my office more often, sometimes stopping to ask harmless questions about data reports that she probably didn't really need my help with. I didn't read too much into it at first. People talk at work. But then, I started picking up on something subtle, something in the way she interacted. It's strange how attraction rarely starts with grand gestures. Instead, it's often found in the smallest details: a pause too long, a smile that lingers, a tone of voice that softens when your name comes up. When someone's interested, their body betrays them before their words do. The first time I really noticed it was during a Friday evening when most people had already left. I was finishing a report when Natalie popped in to drop off some mock-ups. She laughed when she saw my empty coffee cup and said, "You really don't leave until they turn the lights off, huh?" There was no one else around, just the sound of typing and low music from someone's speaker down the hall. I said something about dedication, but she didn't walk away. Instead, she leaned on the doorframe, arms crossed, and just stayed there. The silence wasn't awkward, it was charged. Like both of us were aware that something was shifting, even if no one said it out loud. That's when I realized something. If a woman is genuinely drawn to you, she creates moments where something could happen, even if she doesn't act on them directly. She gives you access, time, and emotional space. But here's the thing: attraction isn't only about proximity, it's about comfort. The following week, Natalie and I began having lunch together. At first, it was friendly. Then, without either of us planning it, those lunches became longer, our conversations deeper. She'd ask about my family, my childhood, my dreams. She remembered details. And that's another subtle sign. When someone is genuinely interested, they retain small things you say. It's not strategy, it's care disguised as curiosity. One day, while talking about our favorite places to travel, she laughed and said, "You'd probably love Colorado. You seem like someone who needs space, but not too much silence." That hit me. She didn't just listen, she read me. It wasn't about flirtation anymore, it was connection. Now, I need to make something clear. This story isn't about seduction or playing games. It's about understanding human emotion, how attraction is communicated respectfully, through mutual energy and nonverbal communication. Because genuine interest never comes from pressure, it comes from presence. Fast forward a few weeks. The office was hosting a late networking event. Natalie was there, in a navy dress, and the moment our eyes met across the room, there was this mutual recognition, a silent we both know. She walked over, smiling, and asked if I wanted to grab a drink after. I agreed. We ended up at a small jazz bar 2 blocks away. The lighting was soft, the kind of place where conversations flow easier than usual. We talked for hours, about work, dreams, mistakes, even fear. I remember thinking how natural it all felt, how there wasn't a single moment where I had to try. Every time she leaned in, it wasn't because she couldn't hear me, it was because she wanted to be close. That's another truth. When someone's interested, proximity is a language. They find reasons to be near you, not in an obvious way, but with intention. At one point, she said something I'll never forget. You make me feel calm, even when I don't know what to say. That's the ultimate sign. Comfort mixed with awareness. When a woman feels both relaxed and alive around you, that's real chemistry. That night, when I dropped her off, she smiled at me for a few seconds longer than usual before saying goodnight. There was no rush, no pressure. Just mutual understanding. We both felt it, and it didn't need words. Over the next few months, we grew closer, slowly, organically. Every interaction layered another piece of trust. She'd text me little things, jokes, memories, quotes from books we talked about. But what stood out most was how consistent her presence was. She didn't disappear and reappear. She stayed. If you really pay attention, you'll notice, when a woman is truly interested, she's consistent. She doesn't rely on games or mixed signals. She communicates through effort. That's the modern language of attraction, effort. But I also learned something else. Sometimes, what we mistake for uncertainty is actually vulnerability. Attraction isn't about being smooth or confident all the time. It's about showing someone that they can be imperfect and still be wanted. One evening, after a long day, Natalie admitted she'd been nervous the first time we talked, that she overanalyzed whether I liked her back. It made me realize that attraction often hides behind fear. Sometimes, people test the waters with small gestures because they don't want to risk too much, too soon. That honesty brought us closer. And in that moment, I understood something deeply. When a woman feels emotionally safe, that's when her true interest becomes visible. She won't always express it through words or physical cues. Sometimes, it's in how she trusts you enough to be herself around you. One Friday night, we were at my place watching a movie, nothing fancy, just takeout and old jazz playing in the background. There was a moment when she looked at me quietly, not saying anything, and smiled in this way that felt complete. That's when I realized, it's not about physical closeness. It's about emotional recognition. That feeling that says, I'm here, and you see me. People often misunderstand attraction as something physical, but it's really about recognition, when two people finally see each other beyond the surface. That's what real connection looks like. It's not in the way she touches your hand, it's in the way she lets her guard down when you're around. Months later, Natalie and I started dating officially. And looking back, I can tell you this, if a woman is truly interested, you'll never have to chase. You'll just have to notice. She'll make herself emotionally available in subtle, respectful ways, by initiating small moments, by showing genuine curiosity, by being present. The irony is, most men miss those signs because they expect something louder, words, confessions, direct action. But attraction often lives in the quiet spaces between conversation. The moments when she remembers your coffee order, when she asks about your day before talking about hers, when she chooses to stay a few minutes longer after everyone else leaves. Through Natalie, I learned that attraction isn't a strategy. It's a shared rhythm, when two people match each other's pace without forcing it. And that's something you can't fake. Now, years later, I sometimes think about that first moment she stood by my office door. How something so ordinary turned into something life-changing. Not because of a single grand gesture, but because of a series of small, honest ones. That's what genuine interest looks like. Not instant fireworks, but a slow, growing warmth that never burns out. If you ever find yourself wondering whether someone is truly drawn to you, remember this: people reveal their intentions not through words, but through consistency. A woman who's interested won't play games. She'll listen, she'll remember, she'll make time. She'll find ways to be around you, not because she needs to, but because she wants to. And maybe, that's the real secret. When you stop trying to decode attraction and instead focus on feeling it, you begin to see the truth hiding in plain sight. When a woman is interested, she won't always tell you directly. But she'll make you feel it, in the calmness of her voice, in the way she listens, and in the effort she invests when no one's watching. Because genuine interest doesn't shout. It whispers, patiently, waiting for someone who's actually paying attention.